Your boss slides a paper across the desk. Director level position, corner office, and a number at the bottom that's $50,000 more than what you're making now. Most people signed without reading the rest. I almost did. Then I asked one question. What does a normal week look like in this role? The answer changed everything I thought I knew about money. Not because the job was bad, because the math everyone tells you to do, salary minus expenses equals better life, that math is missing half the equation. By the end of this, you'll see the gap too. March. 4 years into managing a retail location where I knew every regular by name and covered sick calls at 6 a.m. The offer regional director, 7 locations instead of 1, travel 4 days a week, meetings starting at 7 a.m. because the East Coast office was already 2 hours deep into their day. And yes, $50,000 more a year. That's a Honda Civic, paid in cash. That's what most people earn in a full year at minimum wage. I did what you do first. Calculated the monthly take-home after taxes. About $2,800 more every 30 days. I looked at my rent, unchanged for 3 years, because I'd stayed put while everyone else chased newer buildings. Looked at my car payment. Well, I didn't have one. Still driving the Honda I bought used in 2011. $2,800 a month felt like breathing room. Then came the question about the week. Linda, my boss, 6 years into a version of this job, she didn't dress it up. You'll need to be reachable most evenings. Stores close at 9. That's when managers call with problems they couldn't solve during the day. You'll fly out Monday morning, drive between locations Tuesday and Wednesday, fly back Thursday night, if you're lucky. And there's a wardrobe expectation now. You're representing the brand at the district level. I wrote it all down in the notebook I kept in my jacket pocket. Not for the meeting, because I was starting to do math that had nothing to do with the salary number. That night I opened the notebook and did something I'd learned during the 2 years I spent digging out of $6,200 in credit card debt. I wrote out what the new life would actually cost to maintain. When you're doing the math on a raise, most people stop at the salary line. The part nobody walks you through is what comes with it. Wardrobe, 2 pairs of work pants, 4 button-downs I rotated through the week. Fine when you're in the same store every day, half your time in the stockroom. Regional Director Linda wore a different suit every day. I estimated $2,000 up front just to not look out of place. Another $500 every few months after that. Travel meals. Company reimburses up to $40 a day. If you travel for work, you already know $40 doesn't cover 3 real meals in an airport. It covers 2 if you're careful. Maybe a gas station sandwich for the 3rd. You're filling the gap with your own money or eating worse than you do at home. The car with no payment, 140,000 miles. Fine for a 12-mile commute to one location, not fine for 400 miles a week across 7 stores in 3 counties, plus airport parking twice a week. I'd need something newer. A payment I hadn't carried in 5 years. Dog care. 10-year-old mutt who needed to be let out 3 times a day. My neighbor had been doing it for $10 when I worked late. Gone 4 days a week. Dog walker at $25 a day, or boarding at $45 a night. Another $400 to $900 a month that wasn't in my budget before. And the one that doesn't show up on any spreadsheet. Time. 8 to 5 in my current job, maybe 6 if we were short-staffed. Home for dinner. 3 hours before bed to do something other than work. That's when I kept up the notebook. Hit the gym twice a week, read, called my dad, just sat on the couch and didn't have to be on. 4 days a week on the road. Evenings on call for manager crises. That time disappears. And what I figured out that week was that time is where all my actual cost saving lived. Cooking instead of ordering in. Comparing prices at 2 stores instead of grabbing whatever was closest. Fixing the cabinet door myself instead of calling someone. I added it all up, really added it up, didn't guess. The $50,000 raise came down to about $1,200 more a month, maybe, and 60 hours a week instead of 45. I wasn't afraid of hard work. 4 years to get someone to offer me this job. And I wasn't opposed to making more money. I still had $1,800 left on that credit card debt. But something about the shape of the new job felt wrong, in a way I couldn't name yet. Linda was good at what she did, knew every store's numbers cold, Could solve on a phone call what would have taken me 3 days. Respected. I'd also watched her eat lunch in her car between locations because there wasn't time to sit down. Watched her miss her daughter's soccer games 3 weeks running because of scheduling conflicts she couldn't control. Heard her on the phone with her husband at 9 p.m., still in work mode, still fixing someone else's crisis. She made good money. Regional directors' salaries weren't secret in our company. But I couldn't point to one thing in her life that looked better than mine. Except the number in her bank account. What nobody talks about, and I didn't see it clearly until I was sitting there with my pen, you can't spend money you don't have time to enjoy. A bigger paycheck that buys you less life isn't a raise. I just didn't have the words for it yet. I had to feel my way toward it. I asked Linda for a week to think. She said yes. I think she already knew. That week, I called my dad and asked him about a job decision. Not for advice exactly, more to hear him think out loud. 31 years at the same company, sales manager at a mid-sized distributor, promoted twice, turned down a third promotion when I was in high school. I never asked why until that call. They wanted me to go regional, he said. More money. Not what you're looking at, but enough. I thought about it for 2 days and then I realized I liked coming home for dinner. Liked coaching your soccer team on Saturdays. The extra money was nice to think about, but I couldn't figure out what I'd spend it on if I wasn't there to spend it. He didn't tell me what to do. He told me what he'd done. That was enough. If this way of thinking makes sense to you, the kind that looks at money from angles that don't fit on a spreadsheet, the subscribe button's right there. That's the only way this keeps going. You don't have to, but if the last 10 minutes landed, it's worth a click. All right, back to the decision. I turned it down the following Monday. Told Linda I appreciated the offer, I meant it. But I also told her the truth. The life that came with the job wasn't worth $50,000 to me. Maybe to someone else, not to me. She nodded, didn't argue. 6 months later, she left the company entirely. Took a job managing one location again. Closer to home, less travel, $30,000 less a year than she'd been making. We got coffee once after. She told me she wished she'd done it 5 years earlier. What I got by staying 45-hour weeks. My evenings. The version of my life where I had time to make dinner, walk the dog, keep up the notebook where I tracked every dollar. That notebook habit, the one I started to get out of debt. That's what made me richer over the next 3 years, not $50,000 more income. Time to pay attention. I found $200 a month in subscriptions I'd signed up for and forgotten. Switched car insurance, saved $60 a month. Started meal prepping Sundays, cut food spending by $150 a month. None of that sounds like much, but I had the time to notice it and energy left over after work to do something about it. A year later, the last of that credit card debt was gone. 6 months after that, emergency fund covering 3 months of expenses. Not by making more money, by keeping my life small enough that I could see all of the edges of it. 3 years after I turned down that promotion, the company restructured. Regional director positions eliminated entirely. The 7 stores I would have been managing, 4 closed. The 3 that stayed open got folded back under store-level managers reporting directly to corporate. Linda had already left. The person who took the job I turned down got a severance package and 2 months to find something else. I was still managing my one location. Same car, same 1-bedroom, and I was fine. Better than fine. Because I'd spent those 3 years learning something nobody tells you when you're staring at a big salary number, the money you don't spend buys you something too. It buys you options. It buys you the ability to say no to the next thing that looks good on paper, but feels wrong when you sit with it for more than 5 minutes. I'm not saying turn down every raise. I'm saying do the math nobody else is doing. The real math. The kind that includes what the raise costs you to earn it. That $50,000 would have made me richer on paper. Keeping my time, my routines, the version of my life where I had space to actually think, that made me richer. In a way compound interest can't touch. I still have the paper Linda slid across the desk that day. Kept it in my notebook for a while, then filed it away with other documents I don't need but can't quite throw out. Every once in a while, I take it out and look at the number. It still looks like a lot. It still looks like the kind of thing you're supposed to say yes to. But then I think about the 3 years I got instead, debt paid off, emergency fund built, evenings I had, the fact that when the restructure came, I wasn't scrambling. I was fine because I'd been fine all along. Quiet doesn't mean small. Sometimes it just means you kept something the world told you to trade away. If you want to keep thinking this way with me, I'll see you in the next one.